Well. Looks like the Swedish decided to kick things off a little bit here. They have elected the Alternative för Sverige nationalists. And they're now the Grand State of Sweden with a very interesting Nazi flag. And they've created the Northern Alliance, and they went with the Baltic colonization plan. So this is hilarious. So basically now they're attacking the Baltic Black Sea Union? What the fuck is that, Ukraine? Our own union. Euroscepticism. Baltic Black Sea Union. Okay, so there's... Interesting. So there's a bit of a weird, like, intermarium kind of thing going on in Eastern Europe. That's literally intermarium. Like, what the fuck? Lithuania's in NATO. They've decided to not join the Baltic Black Sea Union, apparently. And are these guys, like, still NATO members? Yeah, they are. So, like, Poland is not NATO? Oh, right! I guess they didn't do, like, NATO expansion or whatever. Right? 2004... What? I think that's supposed to be what invites Poland to NATO. Or maybe they're even in NATO at the start. Why aren't they in NATO? I have no idea. Well, I mean... Okay, so the Grand State of Sweden is gonna be a meme. And essentially... What is Norway up to? Alright, oh, democratic socialism. Wait, why are there still a kingdom then? Huh, interesting. They want to abolish the monarchy and they're still the kingdom of Norway. Anyway, the Nazi Swedish are moving in, and obviously, you know, NATO is triggering, and so I don't think the Nazi Sweden is going to do all that well. But this is great because it's increased the world tension by quite a lot, because not only, like, declaration of war makes everyone angry, everyone sends in volunteers. So that escalates things even further. Now, I don't think we can send volunteers. Yeah, we need world tension to be at least 50%. But if we increased it to regional interventionism, it would need 35... No. 10%. But this is like plus 20%. So I guess it's like a base of 30. So yeah, we're gonna need a little bit of extra. Global interventionism would be plus 5%. Send volunteer tension limit. I wish that you could see these modifiers somewhere. Like, you have a place where you collect all of your military modifiers. Why isn't there one where you can collect all of your, you know, diplomatic or everything other like, yeah, obviously national spirits, but like, it's a hell of a bitch to navigate. Right, was it, it was party before country, right? No. Zhonghua, yeah, Zhonghua gives us plus 30%. Right. So if we went up to global interventionism, which would be the highest, we would need still 35% world tension to send volunteers. So we're gonna need to wait until people essentially start off a whole bunch of conflicts. Anyway, I love it. The Nazi Americans are sending volunteers to the Nazi Swedish against the EU, led by Germany, I suppose, and the UK as well. The UK has joined in against the Nazi Swedish. So let's actually check out the battle lines a little bit. I mean, with the Nazi Americans sending support with Chinese consumers, we've been having quite a few of these Chinese consumers spend less. That's a pretty interesting topic anyway, of Chinese consumers. Ooh, the Russians are actually... Jeremy Corbyn of the Labour Party emerged. The Soviet state of the UK. There we go. So, social democracy reigns in Britain. They're already quite heavily in debt. And, well... wait. Don't they have the future at the NHS? Right. They can't really, like, do anything funny. Well, I mean, they can do funny things. It's just... see, like, one thing that might be too difficult to implement for Millennium Dawn, but I feel like it would be a great thing to implement in the future, is like some leader-specific focus trees for a few countries, you know, to kind of represent, like, you know, democratic elections, how they result in political progress or programs. Yeah, let's do the Golden Sun Initiative. Also, I hate how it just goes into that song that doesn't exist. I can't even remove it because it doesn't exist even in the launcher, but whatever. Anyway, so like, yeah, the reason the Russians are intervening and sending in help to the Baltics is that a couple of these Baltic states have turned emerging with radical socialists. Of course, Nazis win in the Philippines. See, I think the reason why this is happening is because Russia is a neighbor of these countries, and they don't really have like that many Western countries that are aligned to them. So yeah, it seems like by the game's own mechanics, it's kind of, ooh, here comes the British landing in Malmö. Oh Jesus, wait, what? Ah, so like Denmark is Western, but apparently they're not like, they're not in NATO, so they're not part of this mess. Oh, because they wouldn't leave NATO. That's kind of stupid that they can just do that. Anyway, commit to the EU. Befriend Sweden. I don't think that that is the greatest moment right now to do that. Anyway, looks like a bunch of Bulgaria and Romania get candidate status. Yeah, a bunch of EU expansion policies have been introduced, but looks like the Bulgarians haven't taken the EU unification yet, or maybe the votes just aren't there for that. Ooh, and I see a landing. I see the Italians. Yes! Look at this. Look at this. Cavalry Brigade Pozzuolo del Friuli. Oh my god. I can already tell that, okay, so one thing about the Italian army is that like a lot of it's obviously a volunteer army, right? It's a professional army. And generally, well, I'm not like, okay, see, like I get the impression of that from the United States as well, where like professional armies where you can basically enlist if you're a volunteer but you don't get drafted generally tend to have more recruits from like poorer areas of a country. Like for example, with the United States, I've seen that a lot of people that go to the army and you know, stay there are from, you know, poorer backgrounds, at least from like people that I know and I talk to on the internet over these years. And in Italy, that's definitely the same thing as well. So like a bunch of recruits are coming from southern areas of Italy where there's more reliance on like state employment for income. And so I'm just imagining these like Neapolitans fucking invading like the Arctic Sweden, although it's June, so I don't think that Sweden is gonna be that cold right now. Anyway, now that the Italians have taken Karlskrona, it seems like everyone is just dogpiling in, and the Italian cavalry is fighting alongside the Germans and the Poles to liberate Sweden from the Nazi menace. Anyway, let us reduce our corruption. Damn, that's gonna be expensive. I think that we're gonna have ways to be interventionist later. Yeah, Article 50 is triggered for Finland. Oh, and UK has taken over Gotland with the Light Dragoons. Oh, and I've turned on these I've turned off the NATO counters because I've discovered that these icons look fucking cool. Like they're really, really well made. They kind of remind me of like these old Modern Warfare games like Battlefield 2, you know, Battlefield Modern Warfare, Call of Duty. You know, where like you have these, you know, very kind of modern-looking, stylized graphics. I think that they're kind of fun. And yeah, I don't think that like, no matter how much Nazi America is gonna help you, it's just a little bit too early for the fascist New World Order to arise, for Sweden to undertake the invasion of the Baltics against the entirety of the EU. Yeah, the might of Europa is coming down on these guys. In fact, there's even the Italian aircraft carrier. I'm guessing that's the Cavour. Yeah, because it's a CV and not a light CV. Italy at the start should have a light CV as well, which is the Giuseppe Garibaldi, which right now is being decommissioned. But yeah, Big Italian aircraft carrier, kind of cool. Looks like some Swedish submarines are actually like convoy raiding a bunch of these units. It's not going all that well for the European Democracy Alliance. They've lost 8,000 men. 5,000 of those are UK, which leads me to believe that that was some kind of naval raiding. Anyway, the Grand State of Sweden has lost 1,000, but I don't think the Grand State of Sweden is going to be able to survive. They've got a couple of their regiments surrounded in Malmö, surrounded by a lot of Polish tanks, nonetheless. And the Greeks are now involved in. They've got Teforakis Mismeni Tetrarchia, and they're coming in. And yeah, the Polish BMPs are charging through. There's British paratroopers, SAS. Oh, but like again, these Swedish, I'm guessing submarines, because the Swedish I think do have like a big submarine fleet. Well, big for a Baltic country. They have 13 ships. Let's see what's going on. What are they doing? Yeah, it's the Swedish submarines over here. 2005 Gotland class. Well, good for these Nazis. Looks like the U-boats are coming in all over again. And yeah, they've killed 17k. Man, 14k British. Corbyn's not going to be happy about that. Corbyn's glorious anti-fascism. Anyway, I could do the economic boom, and I now have quite a bit of income because I reduced the corruption, and that made my income shoot up by quite a lot. So it looks like when China becomes less corrupt, it gets a lot of money. Yeah, democratic China. Anyway, we're about to get this Golden Sun initiative. Now, in real life, China is pushing along with renewable energy by quite a bit, actually, and the reason for that is just like when everyone else pushes in the current like economic climate for renewable energy, it is to have less sort of oh wow, that is a lot of Italians. It is to have less reliance upon oil, because like obviously China gets something like 60% of its oil from the Middle East, and China relies upon coal for most of its energy needs, about half, but of the rest, most of it is hydroelectric, but that's for the industrial sector. Like, the industrial sector sort of consumes most of the energy anyway. For the consumer sector and transportation, obviously oil is a lot more important, and the sort of Chinese demand of oil is projected to rise dramatically as it motorizes, because there's like 100 vehicles per 1,000 people, as opposed to, or 100 vehicles like cars, as opposed to the United States where there's like 850 per 1,000. I think something like that. So obviously in the next like 20 or 30 years, the sort of Chinese demand for oil is going to grow immensely, and that's why they're pushing for electric cars. That's also why they're pushing for renewable energy, to sort of decrease that dependence upon a potentially very like unstable geopolitical, situation in the Middle East, as we obviously see. And yeah, so we're gonna do some of that. And what's great about this in gameplay terms is that it's gonna give us plus 0.20 weekly stability. So as you can see right now, our stability is going up by quite a bit because we're a liberal government and because we are a solar power driven economy. So basically everything is adapting to our new Chinese order. And we also took the Tseng Qinghong fought over here, which is building upon Jiang Zemin's free represents. Tseng has formulated a new ideological underpinning for the CPC, one that stresses the duty of the party to represent the majority of the Chinese people. So yeah, basically we're more pluralistic, but not like because we're a bunch of pussy-ass liberals. It's because we're pragmatic, essentially, which is why we're cool and not bad. Anyway, to go back to like boom, it would cost $135 billion to be a boomer. I don't know. But I feel like first, Maybe getting some regional interventionism might not be bad. Military aid tension limit. Ooh, military aid tension limit. Yeah, it's time to step this up a little bit. So that we can get more involved into some of these areas. Can we do military aid now? Yeah, we can. So perhaps we should do some military aid to like Congo DR. Send them some rifles maybe. Type 50, Type 56. And perhaps some convoys too. And some of these old, we're lacking APCs actually. So maybe some artillery guns. It's gonna endear them to us, or whatever. And also Angola. We definitely want the Angolans to win over here. So send them some artillery. Anyway. I'll see you again when developments happen with this whole situation up here. Alright, so, yeah, the Jesus Christ. Sweden, which still has that interesting flag. Can you change that? Thank you so much. Become a NATO aspirant country, joining the EU, EU tutorial. You cannot change the flag? That's not fun. Anyway, they got puppeted by Romania in the peace deal. So I annexed them to Germany and released them as a German puppet. Because, Jesus Christ. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, world tension's now at 13%, so let's hope some people get Mimi. And, ooh, thank you. People are just way too willing to give you military access in this game, actually. And, well, in this game, in this mod, actually. So, I don't know. It's really, really easy to just send your guys everywhere around the world, really, pretty much. Ooh, Bolivia. Thank you. And, Afghanistan had an election, apparently. And this generic Al-Ahmad man won. And he is emerging, so that's pretty good. And I'm guessing that's probably because he's near Tajikistan, and he's near me, and he's near Pakistan, so he got a bunch of emerging influence. And, well, it seems like a kind of military coup, autocracy kind of thing. And, yeah, well, we can bribe him a little bit. Ooh, that's actually pretty damn cheap. Yeah, we can get ourselves quite a lot of, ooh, interesting. We can get ourselves quite a lot of influence over here for pretty cheap. It's pretty good. Yeah, look at that. We're now the highest influence in Afghanistan. And there we go. Now we also get the Belt and Road through Deutsche Bahn, because we have managed to lower our Chinese aggression a little tiny bit. And so now we can start the Belt and Road Initiative, which is a little early. It started IRL in like 2013. Belt and Road is pretty much Xi Jinping's kind of thing. If we take a look at down here, this this region of the focus tree, this man, it's pretty much his whole brain project. Although, I mean, it's not really that that complex of an idea. Basically, it's China just investing in a bunch of infrastructure everywhere to gain political influence. That's pretty much what countries do all the time, you know. And you know, the thing about China doing it is that they're doing it with a lot of fucking money. And so, yeah, that's kind of upending a lot of the global order in East Asia and in Central Asia and the Middle East as well. Because, well, the Belt and Road is supposed to go all the way from China to Europe. And in fact, there's a few European countries that have signed up to it, such as Italy and Montenegro and Greece. And, yeah, basically the US is like, that looks a whole lot like, you know, Soviet Eurasianism. It looks a whole lot like German, you know, hegemonism in Europe. A whole bunch of stuff that we don't like. Because generally, the US doesn't like when these people get along. Because guess what? They're not these people. And so that's just a evolution of, well, what the UK used to do as well. These maritime powers not really liking when these people get together. But that's just the way it is. Anyway, it's gonna be pretty cool, I hope. Micronesian election, Papua New Guinean election, Polynesian election, Maldivian election. Ooh, Maldivian election. Really now? What is up with this Maldivian election? Looks like a non-aligned outlook is staying in charge. But actually the emerging outlook is growing. I wonder why exactly. I wonder why exactly. But yeah, it looks like the Indian influence in the Maldives is lessening, which is quite good. Ooh, the Sri Lankans are on board. It has more than 30% Chinese influence, has more than 30 billion in debt. Opinion of China at least 20. It looks like we can get some, you know, the Habintota port. Yeah, it's gonna increase Chinese aggression, so... And I don't think they're gonna lower their debt necessarily. So since they've signed on to the Belt and Road, that's gonna be a possibility in the future too, you know. Fuck up the Sri Lankans a little bit. We're gonna need a lot more Chinese influence there though, and I don't think we cannot give economic aid because we do not have a higher GDP per capita than them. But we can do the African railways, we can do the Pan-Asia railway network, and that's actually quite a good idea. Ooh, Greece. Greece-Reno. We can get the Piraeus port. So we could do some improvement of relations. We're also improving relations with Taiwan over here. Because the Pan Blues are in charge right now. And, you know, the kind of quote-unquote funny part is that non-aligned outlook is growing in them because they went emerging in the focus tree. The Eastern Emergence and the Rising Powers. So now they have an emerging like national spirit. Where is it? Wait, actually, it might not show up as like a national spirit over here. It might just show up in like the party popularity or outlook popularity. Anyway, basically, ooh, they are in debt, and they're actually spending a whole lot more than they have income. So actually, if we establish our influence, we're gonna be able to. Look, yeah, that's a lot of influence. I think they're getting bailouts from the Americans. See, that's okay for now. That's okay for now because this is kind of one of the weird things. Like our two systems tree with the dialogue with the Taiwanese and the cross straits requires the ruling party in Taiwan to be a member of the Pan-Blue Coalition. And if we take a look at the Taiwanese politics down here... Oh, by the way, as of the day I'm recording this, it's been 1 day since the latest Taiwanese elections, and the DPP won, so that's kind of cool. As you can see, like, the Pan-Blue Coalition has the KMT and the People First Party. Now, I don't know what the People First Party is represented as, but I think it's gonna be nationalism. So let's actually tag over to Taiwan and see what the People's First Party is. Ooh, it's conservative. So that's non-aligned? That is non-aligned. So who's in... Wait a second. They have a ton of emerging outlook, but none of these emerging parties have popularity? Interesting. That's see, I feel like I would need to I would need to wait wait a little bit to see the results of that, and that would obviously fuck up China because the AI would take over. There's the new party, though. The new party. The new party is part of the Pan-Blue Coalition, right? Yep, it is. Okay, so then even if the emerging sort of rise up a little bit, it could be, you know, it could be good for us. It could be good for us. Anyway, I kind of would want them to stay with the KMT right now, just so that I know for certain that they're gonna be more on board with like the cross-strait agreements. Also, we didn't get the like actual Belt and Road event. Why? Is it only given to like every country gets China steps up its Belt and Road initiative? Interesting. Also, Kazakhstan can be invited in, which is quite cool. And to do that, we're gonna need to invest into Almaty to at least 6. So that's okay. Nothing else particularly memey happening. Brazil's still doing their Brazil stuff. I love how the Japanese have a ton of influence there. It's interesting, very interesting. But yeah, glorious Lula over here is war on the cartels. Neighborly development. I wonder what we're gonna see down here. Either the country of brotherly love or isolationism. Anyway, so yeah, see you in a little bit.